Hello everyone, Luke here, welcome back to the channel. So if you caught the most recent videos on both channels, you'll know that we're running a brand spanking new competition. And in the spirit of the competition, I've decided to do a video on the top 10 simple motors you can make yourself. So motors, to me at least, are very interesting. I find them in all kinds of circuits, even down to the tiny circuits. So it's actually nice to know that you can still make your own motors from pretty much scratch. So let's crack on with the list. So number one on my list is going to be the simple battery and magnet motor. I think this is absolutely awesome because you can pretty much build this with household materials. As long as you've got a bit of copper wire on hand, a battery and a magnet, you can build yourself a motor. Number two on my list is going to be a DIY electrostatic motor, and I actually built one of these in video number 1549 on the main channel, and I really enjoyed building this because it's basically a paper cup, a bit of aluminium tape, two cans and something to up the voltage, and you can get that spinning quite ridiculously fast. So number three on my list is something called the Homopolar Motor, and I really enjoy this one because it's quite similar to number one on our list. You basically need a battery, a couple magnets and a little bit of copper wire, but sometimes people use screws, but you connect it all up together and you're going to see that copper wire spin around the battery, and I think that is actually kind of cool. So number four on my list is something called the air motor, and I think this is actually really clever in its construction. You've basically got a hard drive, a syringe, a piston inside of that syringe and an input for compressed air. You connect all of them together, squirt a bit of compressed air in there and you're going to see it spin up ridiculously quickly. But what's also really cool about it is looking at that piston inside of the syringe, that moves at a rate of knots. So number five on my list is the ThermoAcoustic Sterling engine, and this thing is actually pretty bonkers. It's basically a copper tube with a few bits and bobs added into it. You heat it up and you'd start hearing a hum. Basically means this whole thing works on vibrations and frequency, and we actually covered this in video number 1419 on the main channel. That was awesome. Number six is the balloon Sterling engine, and how this thing works is actually pretty cool. You basically get a bean can, a heat source, a balloon and a bit of tubing. You basically put the balloon over the top of the can, heat the bottom of the can, and it acts like a diaphragm. You can see the balloon expand and contract, which basically drives a piston, which then can drive a drive shaft. Number seven is the Fluidine engine, and again we actually covered this on the main channel, which was video number 1419, and it's basically a setup of copper pipes and rubber tubes. You fill it with water, you heat one side and it works on the pressure differences. So one side will act like a piston and you will see that water going up and down until you decide to take away that heat source. Number eight is the Hero steam engine. Of course there's a lot of history on this, but the DIY version is actually incredibly simple. All you're going to need is a can. You stick two holes either side of the can, fill it up with a little bit of water and suspend it on a swivel hook. If you heat the bottom of it, what's going to happen is the steam's going to start pouring out of the holes, which makes the can spin really quickly in circles. And number nine is the Newman Motor, and would you take a look at that? I've magically got one in my hands, and that's because we actually covered this on the main channel in video number 1562, and if you're interested in the detail and the control on this, I'd recommend go checking that out. And last but not least, it's going to be the gravity motor, and we actually covered this in video number 1150, which was quite a while ago now. But basically what it is you have a pulley at a very high distance, a pulley at a low distance, and from the top you'd attach a weight and let it slowly fall. That way everything starts to spin really nicely. And that wraps up our top 10 list. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the new competition has now been announced, and here's just a few ideas of what you can actually do. Bear in mind, I only chose 10. There is a lot more motors that you can make by hand. So I think it's actually really awesome the amount of different types of motors you can actually make with your hands. And to be fair, I'm actually a little bit surprised the amount of these we've covered on the channel, because we make so much content I actually forget what we do. But it's actually nice to take a little look back and take a look at the top 10 motors you can make by your hands. And with that being said, that does bring me to the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions or suggestions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments and I'll try my best to answer them all. Anyway guys, I hope you have a fantastic day and I'll see you later.